The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
The Jets hit the field for another OTA open for the media earlier today. Let's check in with someone who was there to give us the top takeaways. That and much more. It's the Jake Asman Show. Robby Sabo joins us. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go. Here on a Tuesday. I was having a wonderful day until the New York Knicks decided to fire their head coach, who got them farther than anyone has in 25 years. So if you want my thoughts on the Tom Thibodeau firing, I just wrapped up an hour-long live scream talking about that. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point again on this stream, because joining us right now is someone who knows the Knicks, but he's known for covering the New York Jets for JetsXFactor.com, Robby Sabo. Robby, man, it kind of feels weird going from the Knicks firing their coach to now talking about Jets OTAs in June, but that is the life we chose for ourselves.
Yeah, dude, everyone was in the Jets media room. Aaron Glenn had just wrapped up speaking. Maybe it was not Aaron Glenn, maybe it was the players, but regardless, after someone spoke, who was it? Someone but Otis Livingston from CBS, he's casually on his phone. Oh, Thibodeau, they fired Thibodeau. What? I turn around, I'm stunned. I mean, listen, I know there were rumblings. I know it was discussed. I know fans, foolishly, many of the fans foolishly want it to happen and think he's dragging the team down. But all I could say is good luck. Good luck trying to replace that guy. He's one of the best coaches in the NBA. If Dallas had taken the same mindset these fans do, they would have never hired Carlisle, because Carlisle built that Detroit team. Larry Brown took over a championship-ready team, won the championship, took Carlisle 10, 11 seasons to get that championship in Dallas, and now he's one of the best. And he was the final nail in the Thibodeau coffin. But it's amazing, and it's absurd. And good luck, folks. Good luck.
Yep. I vehemently disagree with it. I hope I eat my words and the Knicks are in the NBA Finals this time next year. But just,
hey,
God,
it could work out if they hire the right guy, but.
Who's the Joe Torre to Thibodeau being Buck Showalter?
Yeah, a lot of people compare him to Buck Showalter. Listen, there's an argument to be made there, but you better be very right and very lucky, number one. And number two, Buck's teams, when he left, they won a championship. He set them up. The next guy knocked him down. Thibodeau, when he leaves, their team's going to tank. Chicago, mini. So I don't see the parallel. This guy is a fantastic freaking basketball coach, and only the entitled and the short-sighted see it otherwise.
Tensions were high on the Knicks live stream.
You son of a bitch!
Yeah. Shout out to Mets 2128, who was our final caller, and the reason why I'm running late on this stream.
I didn't get to that part. I was watching it while writing this article up for Knicks X Factor, waiting for you. I didn't get to that part yet.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy. We had quite the commotion at the end there. All right, let's get the Jet stuff out of the way, and then we'll open it up for calls, super chats, all of it. By the way, Knicks fans, I'll try and help you get over the Thibodeau stuff. I'll give you a chance to win a signed Walt Clyde Frazier jersey. That's the top prize, with a couple other Jet items. Kevin Mawai signed jersey and a Bart Scott signed jersey in this week's AsManiac raffle. But Robby, as far as today's OTA session, I want your take on just really some of the big takeaways. What really stood out today? You got another chance to watch Justin Fields and his offense operate. I saw Michael Clemens, I guess, is too good to show up to OTAs. Yeah. He wasn't there on defense, but let's just start with what to you really stood out. Give us your biggest observations.
Well, first notable, because you started with Clemens. Clemens Sauce, Quinnen Williams, and McDonald were all absent today. Nothing glaring, nothing crazy. Glenn didn't elaborate. The question was asked about Clemens, and he kind of, did his usual Glenn thing by deflecting. He's been here, blah, blah, blah. Everyone moved on. Glenn does this intimidating thing. OTAs was much of the same. When we got there, they were really heavy into instructional stuff and walkthrough type feel. Then they break into positionals. Then they came back for team sessions and 7-on-7. And here's the takeaway. We'll get into Fields and some of the, play on the field. But at one point, it really got emotional. Guys were hooting and hollering and celebrating, and things got chippy for a little bit. And as a coach, you like to see that those emotions, especially in OTAs. There's still helmets, no pads. And there was like a 20-minute stretch where things got heated and emotional. Suddenly, Glenn stops practice, blows the whistle, brings everyone in. So he's talking to all 90 guys, 80 guys, whatever it is. And, I didn't hear what he said, but very quickly, it was like an instant reaction. He brought them all in, talked to them. Everyone took a deep breath, and the tone kind of chilled out. And if I had to guess, it would be about Glenn reminding these guys that, hey, focus. Focus is the number one priority, especially right now in OTAs when we're implementing a new scheme. When we have to get this stuff right. So yeah, we like the emotions. We like all that stuff, the heated moments, but let's not lose sight of the main goal, which is focus. And from there on out, I think they heeded to his advice. So I haven't seen that around these parts in Florham Park in a long time. That was the biggest thing that stood out.
When it comes to the offense as a whole, there were some highlights that the Jets themselves put out of Justin Fields scoring a rushing touchdown yesterday. What'd you see from the offense today, Robbie? Let's go in depth on that.
Yeah, Fields was solid. There was a great play, Fields and Garrett Wilson in teams. Don't want to describe the route. It was like middle of the field, not the easiest pass to make, but especially because the coverage was great. Inside hip, trailing, man coverage. And Fields led Garrett, but he placed it in a really, if he went lower, it would have been safer, but placed it in a nice spot away from the defender. And so it was a great pass, great decision, but the play was made by Garrett. Strong hands to come down with that pass. It was like a 12, 15-yarder, maybe 20-yarder, strong hands. So Fields had a solid day. He's still taken off in certain situations, and you take note of the coaches afterwards, after a play ends. A lot of coaches don't like the quarterback taking off on reps because they feel like it's a wasted rep. That's not the case here, because I think Glenn and Angstrand are encouraging Fields to take off. I don't think they want him to do it on every play, obviously, but they want him to make the right play. So he's still taking off. He's still, he's still solid. I think in terms of progressions and that stuff, it is what it is. I'm not seeing a lot in terms of improvement. Plus, listen, it's OTAs. We're gonna have to wait until August to see more. But okay, I mean, I think solid in terms of field general stuff. Pretty solid. He had a nice pass down the left sideline, like 45, 50 yards in the air. The ball traveled, incomplete, but he put it on the outside shoulder of Garrett near the sideline, and Brandon Stevens had great coverage. So even though it was incomplete, it won't be on the highlight reel. There's another great pass. He had a couple of those today. So I thought Fields was pretty good. And I think the play of the game, the quarterback play of the day was Adrian Martinez.
Really?
So it was one play. So let's not go crazy, but this was the quarterback play of the day. Looking left the entire time. Backside dig, perfect to Xavier Gibson. That was the play of the day in terms of a quarterback, but overall Fields outplayed him, I think.
I saw that there was a lot of buzz about that one throw Tyrod apparently made today.
Which one? Who'd he complete it to?
A couple guys on Twitter were talking about it. A couple of the reporters that were there. I'm trying to remember who the receiver was.
Was it Lazard?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm trying to pull up. I know Faria had it. Hughes had it. Let me see. I
think it was
Tyrod Taylor threw one of the prettiest balls I've ever seen. It was to Pokey Wilson.
Pokey? I don't remember that one. I remember the one to Lazard. We'll have to take.
Xavier Gibson had a dime too, apparently today, or caught a dime.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yeah, Tyrod, dude, by the way, Tyrod's anticipation is still pretty good. And you forget, going these practices, going from Rodgers to Fields, it's night and day. It's a completely different world. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying it's a different feel and a different quarterback. But again, the ramp up in terms of the biggest thing for me is looking at the coaching. I'm trying to get a feel for what Glenn is and who he is and what he's trying to implement. And the trend continued today where he's sort of ramping up. It was really heavy rushing a few weeks ago. Then they started to get short intermediate passing. And now they're starting to open it up more, I feel like, without getting into details.
What are your thoughts on the progression of Fields in particular? Because this, I think, is the third time you've seen him now. So have you noticed any noticeable improvements or anything in regards from the beginning to now?
Not really. I got to be honest, not really. But I don't think that's a bad marker. If you get what I mean. Like it's so early in OTAs. It's just one day each week. And I don't think it's a bad marker because he came into it with confidence. As the new guy, he came into it with confidence and a presence about him as the leader. That was sort of impressive. So kind of like Thibodeau, that first year, he started at a high point where he exceeded expectations. So from that point, no, not much in terms of improvement, but that's not a bad thing. Not by any means.
So Glenn was asked how Fields is looking, and he said, I think I answer that question every time I'm up here.
Yeah. That was a funny moment.
Who is the reporter that said this is my first time here?
I forget her name. It was a woman. I was talking to her for a little bit. I forget her name, but she was covering the Knicks for whoever she works for. But she quickly responded, yeah, this is my first time here. And he kind of joked it off and made it a lighthearted moment.
He said, that's your fault.
That's your fault. Yeah, he did the point thing too. Listen, dude, Glenn has his tactics. He is intimidating. Like you gotta be on the ball, and it's no nonsense. And every person that comes up there, the Jets had Reynolds and Quincy speak today, and both of them echoed the same stuff. Like he's direct, he doesn't mess around, and he's straight to the point. So that definitely continues.
Quincy said that when Glenn got the job, they spoke on the phone for an hour and a half, their first conversation. I thought that was interesting.
Yep. And he had, and this is the biggest thing, he had specific improvements he wanted to see from him, specific goals. Now, they wouldn't let the hat out of the bag in terms of what those were. I think some of it was leadership. Some of it was, the intrinsic stuff. But if I had to guess on the field, it would be sort of mirroring, what Glenn did today in terms of getting everyone to focus. I think it would be for Quincy to play under control. Yes, we like you to be violent, but play under control. Don't over pursue as much with your hair on fire. We need you to find that perfect balance.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Any questions from Robby? Write it in. He was at today's OTA. There'll be one mini camp OTA, or just one practice, however you want to define it. They got one off-season practice left. That'll be next week, and then break for summer. Next time we hear from the Jets on the field will be training camp. I was reading a lot about Mason Taylor today. I know Glenn highlighted him as a blocker afterwards. Can you go more in depth on what you've seen from the Jets rookie tight end?
He's fully entrenched. There are some reps where Rucker will be the tight end one. But in my eyes, Taylor's fully entrenched. He's at least tight end 2, and he's going to be used in sets with him in mind. I'm not saying I've seen this on the field, but I did an article at JetX yesterday throwing out some certain formations that would work well with this philosophy and personnel. And there's going to be a ton of 2 tight end sets where, Ruckert's in line playing tight end and Mason Taylor's tight end 2 as the wing, behind him. Right off to the, call it a duo tight end set where there's 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, but it's like a 3-by-1. And Mason Taylor being that sifter who goes across to kick out or leak into the flat. So Fields could play the 2-man game. There's going to be a lot of that. Mason Taylor is going to be fully entrenched. And today, Glenn even talked about it after practice. It's not just about his receiving ability. It's about his blocking and doing the right thing. And he plays the part perfectly. So he had a couple receptions today. Nothing that'll boggle the mind. But the most important thing for him as a rookie, at a position that's really tough to get down as a rookie, is there are no missteps. It's very difficult to find a misstep. There were a couple times when I really honed in on him to see if I could find something, but nothing. Not one false step, and that's really promising.
Jeremy Ruckert, another name that I was reading about today. When Aaron Glenn was asked about Ruckert, he said that there's a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to his potential. I think he could help us in the passing game, and he'll be a really good blocker. There are some technical things he can improve on. Have you noticed any improvement with Ruckert? Because let's be real, I think he's on the team this year, Robbie, but I don't think a spot is guaranteed going into training camp here.
Fair. I don't think it's guaranteed, but it'll be like 0.01% chance he gets cut because so PFF had him and Conklin rated terrible in terms of run blocking last year. You know, some of the worst tight end grades in the entire league. And that should not be the case with him. He's a good blocker as a tight end. And I think that was the case. I think his grade last year was due to coaching, and they just did not have an idea. They didn't have a vision. They weren't put together. And if Hayden and Engstrand have that sorted out, he's going to be a nice asset. I mean, he really gets after it in the blocking game, whether he's in line, whether he's in space. I think Mason Taylor might be really plus in terms of in space because of how quick he is in short spaces. Ruckert better in line. But Ruckert, what we saw from him over the first 3 years, I think it's 3 years, this is 4th year, right? He dropped passes. Yeah. There were lapses in concentration. He hasn't dropped a pass from what I've seen so far this spring. And that's really encouraging.
That's good news. I mean, we'll see if it translates now when, training camp starts. Speaking of a guy that I'm curious if it translates, when did the Jets sign Lawrence Taylor? Sounds like Rashad Weaver had like the greatest practice ever today. What did you see from the defensive end that has basically been like a journeyman everywhere he's been in the NFL to this point? What did you make of his day today?
Yeah, I don't want to rain on the parade, especially on this such nice day where the sun is out and Thibodeau's fired. Yay.
Nice day. I mean, I'm having the worst day ever.
You son of a bitch!
Yeah.
Championship now. Here we come. Thibodeau's gone. The man holding us back. Weaver had a good day. He was in the backfield a lot, but there were a few instances where it was more so what the opponent wasn't doing correctly as opposed to what he was doing. So I wouldn't go too crazy. Now, if you keep stringing it together, okay, let's roll. Lawrence Taylor is probably a bit of a stretch, but we'll monitor that one.
All right. A couple of rookies I want to ask you about. Malachi Moore and A.Z. Thomas. I think A.Z. Thomas is a starter on this team by the end of the year. Let me start there. Am I crazy for feeling that way?
Say it again. You feel like he's going to do what?
I think by the end of the season, he's a starter on the Jets.
No, you're not crazy for feeling that way. I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago when I talked about he had the coverage play of the day where he stayed attached to, I forgot who the weapon was, but he stayed attached inside hip, trailing the entire time. Perfect technique, right hand on hip, inside arm up. It just completely shut it down. And it was a speed route where the route was trying to showcase the speed for the weapon. And it was a speedy receiver, but I forget who it was. And he stayed with him the whole time. I wouldn't worry about the speed element with him at all because although he's not as big as I thought he would be, he's not as tall and, menacing as I thought he would be, he's still physical. And if they're blitzing and they're going after the quarterback, he knows that internal clock. His instincts are really a big plus in my mind. And that really carries him through in terms of if he's lacking some vertical speed, which he is. He's lacking some, but his short space quickness is there. And every time I see him and Malachi Moore playing defense on that second unit, they're doing really good things. Really good things. And a lot of these plays with the quarterback, Weaver included, most of them get shut down. Like most of them, the internal clock is done. They would have been sacked or thrown away or what have you. And we're seeing a lot of that in terms of the second unit coverage when it's Tyrod out there.
A question for Robbie. Write it in. We're gathering everything. Malachi Moore, Robbie. Making some plays, it sounds like, right?
Love Malachi, dude. Love Malachi. And I would say Taylor's the only one who is so far not been given any. Well, Membu too. Membu and Taylor. They haven't been given roles, but they're a clear hurdle ahead of every other rookie. And that includes Malachi Moore in terms of, depth chart perception. I don't think that's going to last. And I'm a fan of Tony Adams, but Malachi Moore, he's just versatile. He could do a lot of different things. He could play in the box, play near the line of scrimmage, be that blitzer off the edge, pop someone in the flat inside out, play the post safety. He could do a lot of different things and cover everyone other than, like an Arian Smith going vertical downfield. He's got to stay perched and then too high. But yeah, Malachi had a solid day. Jalen Simpson, shout out to him. He ended practice with a pick and then did a couple backflips in the end zone. That's how they ended practice. There was someone else who had not a pick six, but a pick early when the emotion started to get going. My apologies to whoever that Jet was, before Glenn had to shut it down.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. We're talking with Robby Sabo. He was at today's Jet OTA that was open for the media. There's one left next week. It's a mini camp one. We should expect full attendance, right? There's not going to be any holdouts for maybe a corner who's
Egypt.
going into his fourth year that wants a long-term deal. No?
Well, I mean, no, I don't think he's going to Egypt.
I don't think Sauce is going to Egypt either. But will he be at One Jets Tribe next week?
It's interesting. Have you heard?
He wasn't the only one not there today, but
he wasn't the only one, which I think
he was posting on social media during this OTA today, though.
Was he? I did not know this.
He was sharing pictures on his Instagram. Yeah, and I was thinking to myself,
what was he posting? Just pictures, random pictures?
And one of them was a picture of him, like from a recent practice.
Interesting. My gut says no. My gut says I think he'll be back at it. The tone right now, you get a sense for the tone, even though you're not in the meetings, you're not in the building. My understanding and that the sense I get from this is everyone is not walking on eggshells necessarily, but everyone is in tuned and doesn't want to let anybody else down. And that is the message that has started from Glenn. So, I know it's business, but right now where I stand, I think I'd be shocked if it gets to that situation.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Josh Reynolds said that Justin Fields has a beautiful ball. Your thoughts?
I thought you had.
And to be clear, he did not plural that. He said just ball.
Maybe the lack of, symmetrical. And no, he throws a good ball. Listen, it's the touch with him in terms of some of the routes. I think that's just in terms of raw throwing and the ball. It's the touch. I'm not saying he's bad at it, but he's still got to work on the touch. Everything else is the internal stuff. See, if I was Glenn, I was talking to someone today. What I want from Fields, if I'm Glenn, is to strip the running ability from him and try to get him to develop passing without even the threat of running. But try to do that without shattering his running confidence. It's a tricky thing. But I think that's his one issue. If he could work on stuff from the pocket without any threat of his legs and improve that way, then you got a dangerous player.
As far as what this, offensive line is going to look like, we know 4 of the 5 guys. We know Membu is likely going to be the starting right tackle. I mean, he better be at this point.
Yeah.
It's tough because they're not wearing pads, but what has stood out to you about this offensive line group, if anything, so far?
Not much, to be honest, but there are certain concepts in which you see, man, Braylon Allen hit the hole hard and he gets downhill in a hurry. And when you're trying to predict and project Engstrand's rushing concepts, there's no wasted motion. There's no lagging. It's all business. It's all up to the line, hit the hole hard. I'm trying to pay attention to Brees in terms of if he's going to follow Braylon Allen's lead and hit the hole really hard and get up and get north-south, because I really think they want that. The running backs to get north-south, because that means Fields can work off of him east-west with the zone read, with the read option. So individual O-line play. I mean, Membu, I saw, was it Lawrence Taylor, Weaver? I think Faria said Weaver beat Membu on the one play. I wouldn't be too concerned about it right now, based on the structure, based on no pads, all that good stuff.
Super chats. They cut the line. Let's get to this one. Connor Long, I see your one about the Knicks. I'll save that for when we get into that in just a little bit. But we'll do some Jets for right now.
He's anti-Tibbs.
He just had a question about something with the roster. He wanted your thoughts on it. He's a Net fan, so I don't really care whether he's
I didn't even know that. Okay.
But he should be thrilled because Jorge Fernandez is now the best NBA coach in New York City. What have you seen with the D-line? Could AZ start at corner and Stevens to safety? LT3 update. How do you think the team and players feel with the new head coach so far? So PBM is cramming in several questions for you, Mr. Sabo. So we'll start with the D-line.
Yeah.
What has stood out about the Jets defensive line through now 3 OTA sessions you've watched up close?
It's wide open because Jermaine Johnson's not there. Clemens wasn't there.
When you say Jermaine's not there, you mean he's not practicing?
He's not practicing, yeah. And McDonald wasn't there. So it is wide open. It's wide open. And, D-line's one of those tricky things, too. When there's no pads, it's based on effort. And if your effort is high, you're going to look a lot better than you actually may have been. But Quinn wasn't there either. They were missing their entire, basically, starting defensive line today. But that's my big takeaway. It is wide open, and these guys are going to be battling this summer for those second unit spots that could potentially turn into first unit spots. What was the other things he had?
Second, he wanted your thoughts on AZ. We did mention him earlier, so we can skip that.
AZ could start, but I don't anticipate it right away. I think Brandon Stevens is playing well. I don't know if I mentioned him. He was the one on that deep vertical down the sideline in completion, which feels through a great ball, outside shoulder to Garrett. Great coverage. It was on the far side, so I didn't get the greatest look on it, but good coverage. He's been solid so far. I could see AZ start eventually on the outside, but I don't think immediately. Brandon Stevens has been good, and no, Brandon Stevens is not going to safety. If I'm a Jets fan, I'm getting that out of my head immediately. They have plenty of safeties. They need outside corners more than safety, I would say, because you got Sauce, you got AZ, you got Brandon Stevens. Who's the fourth guy? I know there's plenty of names, but
Montez Stigers?
Stigers is probably number 4, but there's a battle there. And at safety, you got Malachi Moore. Well, you got Adam Cisco, Malachi Moore. I just don't envision him transitioning to safety, especially after that contract.
Overall, how do you think the players feel about Glenn and this coaching staff so far?
I think they are very welcoming of the structure. They're very welcoming of the structure. There's less freedom, no question about it. Like that story today is a perfect example of him sensing things are getting a little too chaotic right now. I got to shut this down. And they responded well to it. And better yet, it's almost as if Glenn took the roster when he got hired and saw the tape, watched the tape, thought about everything, envisioned what he wanted to do, and then talked to everyone for hours and laid it out right from the jump. Didn't waste any time and said, I need you to do this, 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 and this, and work on this. And everyone who talks to the media afterwards echoes that sentiment, doesn't give up what he actually wants him to work on, yet seems really eager to get it done for him. So I think they're really happy that he's here.
There was a question here that needs my attention. Black Gypsy writes in, was there any nickname?
You son of a bitch!
Yeah! Oh, God.
We'll get into it.
Sam with a super chat for us. Thank you, Sam. By the way, raffle entries. Signed Bart Scott jersey. Signed Kevin Mawai jersey. Signed Walt Clyde Frazier jersey are the top prizes that we will be giving away on the show for our next raffle next week. We gave out our 5 prizes yesterday as part of our 27th raffle. So now we're looking ahead. Let's see. This one is from Sam. It's already up on the screen. Is it fair to say Malachi Corley will not make the roster? Let's start with that question first.
No, that's not fair. I think.
I guess doing anything? Is he making any plays?
Haven't seen much of him, to be honest. Really haven't. And that's not good. It's not a great start. It's not a great sign to open things. But I would say this. I don't think it has anything to do with his talent. I think it's more of a message to him. And we talked about this with Tippmann and Myers. right? Where, it leaked out that Tippmann wasn't the clear number one center. Myers was doing the duties. And, Myers has a history with Fields, so maybe that played into it. But I think that was a message to Tippmann. Recently, last week and today, or last week it was Tippmann. I think today it may have gone back and forth a little bit. Regardless, I think Corley not getting into a lot of action in terms of, the big boys is more of a message. It's more of a clear warning.
We're talking with Jets reporter Robby Sabo, JetsXFactor.com, the founder of that. Also, KnicksXFactor.com.
Yes,
so Robby and I have spent some time talking about the Knicks at the top of the show. We'll get back to it, I'm sure, at some point soon. I do want to get to more of the Jet questions here. 25 with a super chat. How has Donovan Edwards looked? Potential to jump Davis? ?
You know what? I didn't see a lot of Edwards today, to be honest. The first few weeks, it was just a third or fourth practice, whatever. But the previous ones we were at, I saw a lot more Edwards getting mixes in terms of the top unit. Not so much today. It was more just the top three: Davis, Allen, and Brees. And again, Jets fans, I'm going to say this. This has nothing to do with the formations I've seen or anything I've seen in the field, because I was talking about it before OTA started. Don't think of Brees as a running back this year. If you're in fantasy, if you're doing all that stuff, don't think of him as a running back. He is going to be an offensive player. He's going to catch a lot of passes, and that's how I think you should view it. And if that's the case, Edwards might have a better chance to squeeze on the roster as a fourth guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. I have pinned or I might not have pinned it, actually. That's right. It's not pinned. Chat is exploding here, so let me repost the Gusbuster hotline link and put that in for people to see. I do want to quickly make note that for those of you who are interested in our annual group buy game, Jets Panthers is the game this year, Sunday, October 19th. You have until June 13th to secure your spot. We'll be in section 129, which is in the lower level at MetLife, corner of the end zone. Great seats, same seats we had last year for anyone who came to our Texans meetup event. We will have a tailgate beforehand, but if you want a ticket at a $60 reduction than the normal face value price, lock in your spot by clicking the link in the description. I believe it's about $165 before a little fee action for your ticket, and you will be sitting in a section full of Asmaniacs. We had over 135 people last year. I think we're going to be able to get more this year because the game is on a Sunday. It's a Sunday 1 o'clock kickoff. So if you want to join us, lock in your spot. You have till next Friday to do so, and then I got to tell my ticket reps with the Jets how many we are, which is why we're getting ahead of this now. So hopefully a bunch of Asmaniacs can join us for the second year in a row. And they might win that game, Robby. I don't know how many wins the Jets are going to have this year, but home against Carolina feels like a winnable game.
Yeah, dude, it's good timing. It's a good opponent. What kind of glory would you be in if they do win that game and things are rolling and the Asmaniacs finally feel as though they have their head coach for forever and ever, and then James Dolan fires him in 4 years?
Woody Johnson's going to pull a Dolan. Well, let's guess the Jets' record during that game, by the way. Let's see. So that Carolina game is after the London game. They're not taking the bye. So it's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They'll have played 6 games. Can we hope the Jets are 3-3 going into that game and they can get the 4-3?
Dude, I remember you were stunned when I said it, but I still think this team, 500, 8 wins, 8-9 is probably where I'm at right now.
Really?
8-9, probably 8-9 is where I'd be right now. It stunned you when I said it the first time a couple weeks ago, but it's not so much pro Fields, it's pro the entire roster and what they had here, independent of any coaching previously. And so far, I'm doing my best not to be impressed by Glenn. I'm taking the cynical, stubborn route as much as possible, but I have to be honest and objective. He has impressed me along the way so far. Now, listen, it's all culture stuff. There's a lot of stuff in terms of strategy in which I question his defensive stuff. When I watched the Detroit defense the last few years, there were a few questions, the playoffs last year. So I have a lot of strategy questions, and that was one of the reasons I wasn't crazy high on Glenn, but culture, program, he's doing an amazing job. If Engstrand and Wilkes do their thing strategy-wise, and Glenn doesn't go too crazy on the philosophy, which would then prohibit them from doing their strategy stuff, I could see 500.
Sign me up for that. Inject it into my veins.
Yeah, he's been impressive so far. The only issue is the strategy, and it looms large for Jets fans that Engstrand is the real deal, and if that's the case, if I'm right on that.
Engstrand came across, I thought, very well at his presser, Robbie. What did you make of the answer when they basically tried to get him to be like, well, I've never called plays for a running quarterback before, and he flipped it on them and was like, that just allows us to be able to do more. Like, this is great. Like, I love the way he handled when they were trying to basically set the stage for the criticism of, well, is he the right guy for the job? Because he comes from Detroit with Goff. It was a statue, and now he's got Fields. I just thought he handled that whole back and forth with the media very well the other day.
He did. And, there might have been some nerves with him initially in the New York market. He's human like everyone else, but I thought he handled it well, especially that question. And my greatest takeaway is that he's a football guy. Like there are some coaches who are, you play video games like Madden or NCAA. If you create a coach, I don't know if it's still like this, but back in the day, if you create a coach, you could pick your, type of coach, culture builder, strategist or whatever. He's a football guy where he understands strategy. And yes, Goff was not a running quarterback, but he has experience under Harbaugh, and a lot of the things Detroit does, it's not necessarily for a running quarterback, but it's for a guy like Fields. Goff, say what you want, he was very much a one-read quarterback with Detroit. It was him fitting into the system elevating him as opposed to him elevating the system and the personnel around him. And a lot of their plays and concepts, what he had under Ben Johnson, are one-read stuff, which they're going to transition to Fields, and stuff that you could easily turn into running quarterback-designed rushes. So I think he's fine in that area. It'll boil down to whether or not he could handle it in terms of the stress, the pressure, the versatility, all that good stuff.
This was actually, you know what? I thought I had it ready. I don't. It didn't load. I do have this clip, which has nothing to do with what we were talking about, Robbie, but I think you'll laugh anyway.
We are mama way. Did you send me that on Twitter, or was that someone else?
So I did tweet it yesterday. I was listening to Joe's podcast, and he busted that out. I'm like, that is a great drop for this show. So I pulled it. But
I got to do it, Benengo. I got to see what he says about the Thibodeau stuff. I don't even know if he's a Thibodeau guy or not, to be honest.
I think Joe's going to hate it if I know Joe the way I think I do.
True. And he's going to hate it, it has nothing to do with Thibodeau. It has everything to do with the Knicks' history and how they've been run. Yeah.
I think Joe is a Thibodeau fan, though. 100%.
It would make sense. Dude, they were in the freaking basement for 2 decades. The guy comes in. Julius Randle has been the biggest disappointment since he got drafted from Kentucky. Has his best year of his NBA career under Thibodeau. Yeah.
3 all-star teams with him.
Yeah. And then Brunson's not there yet, folks. Thibodeau.
We'll go down the list. Name a player. They all got better under Thibodeau. Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Emmanuel Quickly. Like, go down the list. These guys all improved dramatically under this coach. All of them. Isaiah Hartenstein.
Oh, yeah.
Played so good, he maxed out his value where the Knicks, because of the stupid CBA, couldn't pay him what they wanted to pay him. So the Thunder stole him. Like, there's so many examples of this. It's just...
It's mad, but I can't wait. That's appointment television for me. Benengo's next podcast.
So I was able to get the clip. It finally loaded. This was the sequence at the press conference with Engstrand that we were just talking about.
Coming from an offense where you have the prototypical pocket passer in Goff, and now you have one of the best running quarterbacks. So how is that a little out of your comfort zone? Like, what kind of transition is that for you to make that adjustment?
Yeah, I think it just opens things up more. That's all. It just adds another layer to what we can do with where we're going on offense.
It's a good question.
Love it.
Yeah, and it's a good question by Samini. Shout out to him. But if you think about it, Yeah, it opens it up. Like, what's an inside zone, a split inside zone where you see the tight end flash or sift, whatever you want to call it, to kick out on the weak side, and the quarterback hands it off. Sometimes you see quarterbacks like Rodgers have no threat of the read option. Sometimes you see him hand it off. Split inside zone or mid zone, you just hand it off. With Fields, his rushing ability, you take the same play and you extend it. And instead of just a straight handoff, it could be he could give it or take it around the edge if that unblocked, that naked edge crashes. So that's pretty much what it is in terms of setting stuff up for the rushing quarterback.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line.
Did I lose you on the video? What's going on? I finally put the tab back on StreamYard.
I mean, I see you loud and clear. You don't see me?
No, I don't see you. Folks, do you see Jake right now or no?
I think everyone sees me.
Damn, something's going on with me.
Here, there's one thing I could do to maybe try and get it to work. All right. Watch your screen.
Yeah.
Trust me, you got to stick with me here. It's unconventional what I'm about to do, but it might be our only choice.
Bobby and Charles are squeezing their knockers. Bobby and Charles are squeezing their knockers, taking their shirts off.
Taking their shirts off.
Taking their shirts off.
Taking their shirts off.
Bobby and Charles are damn sexy. Damn sexy. Let's party. Let's party. Let's party. Let's Bobby and Charles are hot and sweaty. Hot and sweaty. Let's party. Let's party. Let's party.
Am I back? You see me?
No, but that's okay. My eyes are burned.
Well, you don't need to see me now.
Yeah, no. That's that'll last a lifetime right there.
There you go. Sam Rosen said it best. It will last a lifetime. He was talking about your eyesight not being there.
Fellas, where's Bobby Midnight been? Has he been on the show?
So Bobby Midnight called only 7 times total in the month of May, the lowest output of calls since he became a regular caller.
Oh man, he's turning into Thibodeau, not using the analytics.
Bobby Hollywood.
Bobby, how's Bobby's channel doing? I got to check in on it.
Well, he really doesn't go live that much these days. I don't know.
Oh wow, Bobby getting it's hard to work. I think he's hard at work doing something with a project.
By the
Gotta
way, you might not have liked what you saw from the man boobage there, but Rebecca goes sexy beast right there. So a member of the 4% is all over it.
I mean, I would argue, but who has the energy?
Connor Long with a super chat. He sent this in earlier, but now we'll transition for Knicks and Jets talk. Robbie, did you agree with my Knicks X article with letting Precious and Payne walk while re-signing Shaman and Wright? What are your thoughts as well? I'd bring back both Landry Shaman and DeLon Wright if possible.
Yeah.
I think they fit, but I don't know who the coach is now, so I don't know what the plan is.
Agreed. Yeah, Connor, I agree with you. Honestly, the only one I really care about is Shaman. The other three I don't care too much about. DeLon, I wouldn't go to the ends of the earth, but I would like to have DeLon back too. Yeah.
Yeah, Shaman to me, like he's to me a proven like 3-and-D type of guy you'd want back. So if I can only choose one guy out of that, I bring him back. Yep.
He does everything right. Limited talent for sure, but he does everything right. And you see him in the game, his fundamentals are just he's never too cool to stick to the fundamentals. Jab step with the right leg, keep the ball down. Everything he does is machine-like in terms of what you're taught in AAU, or not bad example AAU. When you're taught by a good coach growing up.
Just saw this tweet from Ed Cohen, who was previously the radio voice of the Knicks. You'll love this. Tom Thibodeau hated when anyone talked on the bus ride to the arena. I loved it. Silence. A chance to imagine the game from players to support staff. Everyone engaged in that awesome tension.
That's it, man. Those are the human. Those are the human. That's an example of the human elements and psychology that goes into coaching sometimes. And that's right up Aaron Glenn's ballpark, Jets fans. So if you're a Jets and Knicks fan who loves the Thibodeau firing, you're not going to like Glenn. I'll tell you that right now.
Could you imagine if the Jets went to an AFC championship game for the first time in 25 years and Woody Johnson fired the head coach?
No one gave me the notice that the modern day Knicks turned into the Bill Russell Celtics dynasty of the 60s. That game 6 of the ECF beating the defending champs wasn't good enough. Did you get that notice, Jake? I didn't know.
I mean, oh my God. Could you imagine? Now, football is obviously different, but if the Jets did something like this? What would be the Jet equivalent, right? Because like
Yeah.
AFC Championship game wouldn't happen. Like the Jets, they made the playoffs and then they fired Glenn or something like that.
You have to first trade for a flawed player who has a big name, like Towns. And listen, I'm not trying to crap on Towns. Towns has a lot of talent, but if you're going to tell me this Thibodeau underachieved with this Knicks roster, I'm going to tell you to name me a championship roster in which their two so-called best players, Towns and Brunson, must come off the court in defensive situations. Name me that championship roster. It's the equivalent of Phil Jackson going, "Hey, MJ, Scotty, you're the two best players, but you're terrible on D. Get on the bench with 5 seconds left, up 1 point." Listen, I love Brunson. I think his ankle really hurt him, and he looked a little slower and sluggish in the playoffs. He's more towards the average end in terms of defense usually, but with the ankle, I think he was just awful this playoff, and Towns is even worse. So first, if you're the Jets, who's that flawed player you trade for, where perception goes wild and you think you're better than you really are? That's where we start, I think, to get the equivalent.
Yeah. Let me say this as well. If you gift the membership, whoever the first person is to do it, we did this on the first show and it was awesome. It's double. So if you gift 1, you're actually getting 2 raffle entries. You get 5, you're getting 10. Just for the first person, though. So it's a race to be number 1, and you're entered in our raffle for the Walt Clyde Frazier jersey, the Kevin Mawai jersey, and the Bart Scott jersey as well. If you have a question for Robby, write it in. Phone line's open, so let's take a call right now. Izzy is first up today. What's up, Izzy?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How you doing, Robby?
What's up, Izzy?
Hey, man. And listen, Jake, that stuff with the dude on the last call was absolutely hilarious, man. I was laughing like 10, 15 minutes over that. The way you told him, that was great. That was great, man.
I was starting to lose my mind with him because like he called in to scream at me, but then when I was going back and forth with him, he was agreeing with me. So like that's why I was so annoyed with him. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
He might be a couple of screws too loose, man, but that was great, man. The way you told him was so
he's like,
great,
they shouldn't have done it that way. I go, when did you want to fire him? And he's like, after a couple years. I go, that's what I'm saying. He deserved at least next year.
And then he gets mad and starts cussing at you, and you're like, yeah. That's
You son of a bitch.
It was great.
Yeah.
I gotta see
I'm really
this. I still
adamant.
haven't seen it.
It's great, man. It's great. I'm really adamant about trying to figure out this wide receiver too, man. And I'm thinking to myself, because we keep hearing little bits about Xavier Gibson he had a day today, or Aaron Smith had a day today.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm thinking like Malachi Corley, we really won't know. Like if he's a Debo guy, like Debo type guy, we won't know until he puts the pads on. But what about Xavier Gibson, man? Could he possibly step into that number 2 role?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting a lot of play right now. He's getting a lot of play in practice. But
Do you smell the 4 wins if Xavier Gibson is the number 2 receiver on this team? Oh my God.
Hey, I remember a game last year where he had 5 catches for like 72 yards or something,
Here's what I'll tell everyone. Here's what I'll tell everyone. Don't get wide receiver 2 out of your mind. I don't think there will be a wide receiver 2 all year. And I think it's semi by design. I mean, if they had a guy worthy enough to play wide receiver 2, okay, he'd be wide receiver 2, but they would still rotate in and out. This is how it's going to be. Lazard and Reynolds on the field in rushing downs on 1st and 2nd down because they're the blockers. Arian Smith in there on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10 because he could take the top off the defense. Tyler Johnson in there when you need a second route runner opposite Garrett Wilson. Corley in there, I don't know yet because he could do a lot of different things. He doesn't have that one specific thing. Think of wide receiver 2 as a combination of everybody. That's how it's going to be.
Right. So go Mason Taylor.
Dude, he might actually be the wide receiver 2 with Brees being the wide receiver 3. That's kind of how I'm viewing it right now. Garrett is the first option, Taylor 2nd, and then Brees 3rd, and then 4th is that wide receiver 2 spot, which is a combination based on the situation.
Yeah, hey, I'm ready, man. I'm excited. I hope it's not a 4-win season. My kids are growing up Jet fans, and I would love to show them a winning season before they get to high school.
They're growing up Jets. Yeah, I mean, if not, I might call the authorities on you.
Are they Nick fans? Did they get to enjoy the Nick run at least?
That is such a lame. I can't believe they got rid of Thibodeau, man. I haven't been watching basketball for a while, but I'm a Knicks fan, man. I used to watch when I did watch. I was a Knicks fan, man, and that's like the equivalent. Like if Aaron Glenn takes us to the playoffs and then we get bumped the first round and then they fire him, how pissed off would the Jets fans be, man?
Dude, there's like 33%, of Knicks fans who love this move. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's good to see most
Well, I
are
appreciate the
anti it because good call is because if you go by Twitter, I mean, it's like, oh, fire after every loss in the regular season, it's fire the coach. It's like we have become the worst fans on social media. It's horrible.
Like you have a better grasp on it than me, Jake, I'm sure, because of all the time you spend doing shows. But if I had to guess, I thought it was more like 50-50 before today.
No, I would say, yeah, I think it's a very loud minority is what it is. I would say 75 to even 80% of Knicks fans are against firing the head coach.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Social media is always the loudest, so I don't doubt it.
Who like to me, they're gonna hire Johnny Bryant is my prediction for who they hire now.
Yeah,
he's never been an NBA head coach. Like it's just how does that make them better?
Good luck. And I don't know if I said it to you before the show or on the show, but for those trusting Leon Rose, because he's made all the right moves so far, guess what? He's made all the right moves so far with Tom Thibodeau next to him.
And by the way, the 1 year this team missed the playoffs with Thibodeau, why did they miss it? Because Leon Rose got Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, and they couldn't play. So they had to pivot. They signed some guy named Jalen Brunson and got mocked for doing it, and the rest is history. I mean, but that's why the 1 year they didn't make the playoffs. It's not like Tibbs, after winning the Coach of the Year his first year, wasn't a good coach his second year. But fans wanted to fire him then too, if you remember. It's just people just love to fire the coach. And I think because Thibodeau is very stoic on the sidelines, very set in his ways. He's not doesn't have like this engaging personality with the media. I think that's used against him in the eyes of some fans, and I think that's ridiculously unfair.
You're so right, and it's true. Yet, what's crazier is when does Leon Rose speak to the media?
He never has. And never will.
Never. So how fans could hate Thibodeau, and universally applaud Leon? I'm telling you, rude awakening is coming, folks.
Leon Rose has never held a press conference since he's been the general manager.
Never.
Not one.
Not one. And listen, I'm not trying to crap all over Leon Rose, but be careful. Tom Thibodeau is a basketball lifer, and every move the Knicks have made Leon Rose's first move was to hire Thibodeau. It's been with Thibodeau alongside him. We don't have any body of work with Leon Rose making moves without Tom Thibodeau, period. So we'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mother Effin' Chew is the first to gift a membership today. His membership is normally 1 raffle entries, but since he was number 1, we're doubling it. Today, it's 2.
We are mama way.
Kobe wants to know if you can go into more detail about the Detroit one-read plays that you've seen.
No, I cannot, because media, we are not allowed to report on the strategy end of things, or even personnel, really. But I'll tell you, whatever their concepts and scheme is going to be and is, most of the stuff they're working on in OTAs is surface level stuff. So think I wrote it on Jets X Factor, some of the formations that would work well with this offense. Like I talked about the inside split zone. Think play action off of that, where Fields is taking the snap. You got Ruckert and Mason Taylor on the same side. Mason Taylor as a wing next to Ruckert. He comes across the line of scrimmage. Fields fake handoff to the right, and then boots to the left with Mason Taylor going to the flat, and then they have that 2-man game where Fields could take off or throw it. It's not technically a one read play. It's more of a run pass option, but that's an example of a type of play you want for Fields.
Ladies and gentlemen, submit your questions for Robby Sabo to answer. Call in. Got a few minutes left with him. Dave Briga wants to know your thoughts on a Jadeveon Clowney signing. I don't think they're going to do it, but I would take them.
Yeah, I wouldn't, necessarily reject them, but I don't have many thoughts, to be honest. They could use the help. I'll say that. They could use the extra body. What is McGregor? I don't know. What is Watts? I don't know. And behind JJ, McDonald's, they're not exactly stacked. So, yeah, it's an interesting thought for sure.
NY Jets Florida says, Jake, at some point, most coaches will be first-time professional coaches. Some could be incredibly successful. I agree with that, Ted. But when you're talking about a Knicks team that was just in the conference finals, now replacing that guy with someone who's never been an NBA head coach before, that is a huge, huge risk. We wanted the Jets, a lot of us did, to hire a coach with previous head coaching experience because they might have a better track record to get you back and get you back on track. But the Jets, like Aaron Glenn can learn on the job. He's not going to be fired after a year. The Knicks, if they don't get to the NBA Finals next year, it's a failed season. Like, you can't get to the Eastern Conference Finals and fire your coach, basically scapegoat him for why you think you didn't get to the finals, and then come back and not get there. So that's an enormous amount of pressure to put on someone who's never been a coach before. If they hire Johnny Bryant, who was an assistant on Tibbs' staff before going to the Cavs last year, he's the betting favorite to get the job right now.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. What does he say? A young coach can take over and be successful? I mean, groundbreaking. Of course that could happen. But you take that in column A, and in column B, you put Tom Thibodeau's track record, which is tremendous, which he took the Knicks, who were terrible, to the playoffs in the first season with nobody. Julius Randle, an aging Derrick Rose, R.J. Barrett. That roster, look at that roster.
Todd Gibson, baby.
Awful. And he did that. And they keep progressing each year. And you want to gamble on the unknown? That's just silly. Like, it's ridiculous.
You know what team should hire Thibodeau? The Wizards. Because Tom Thibodeau will somehow lift the floor of that awful team, too.
He'll lift the floor of any organization he'll go to. Like, he'll have them overachieve. That's just what he does in every situation. And you look back on those, everyone blames Thibodeau for ruining Derrick Rose's career. Why? Why doesn't he get credit for lifting Derrick Rose's career instead? Joakim Noah was an all-star under Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks Rose got hurt, but, like, I mean, that could happen. That happens in sports. Jason Tatum just got hurt.
Were those teams that good? The Bulls teams, talent-wise? Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, young Jimmy Butler, who had not yet come into his own.
They were not as good as the Miami Heat.
Right. Like, they weren't as good as everyone likes to daydream about and pretend they were. That's the problem. You got to put egos aside when being objective about how good a coach someone is. You really do.
Luppy with a super chat. Lobby. I combined Luppy and Robby there. Robby, how do you think our depth is at this point?
Yeah, I think it's better than people think, because I think the roster is more talented than the general consensus, and it's mainly because of how bad the coaching's been the last several years. So I think there's certain positions you got to look at it position by position. The O-line, I think, has pretty solid depth now with Myers and the guy from New England they grabbed. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. Edge, not great. D-line needs some work, but there's some spots where the depth is pretty solid. I like it.
There was a comment here from Joshua who says, Dolan, question to Jalen Brunson. Do you want Tibbs back? Brunson, no. Joshua exposing himself for having a low IQ because this clip happened 2 days ago.
Do you kind of feel that going forward, he's the same guy to lift you guys the rest of the way, that next level?
Is that a real question right now? You just asked me if I believe that if he's the right guy. Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Come on.
Yeah. I think Jalen Brunson is a Tom Thibodeau fan.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck, Knicks.
Patriots 12 says Brunson asked for a trade. Yeah, look, Patriots 12, you're on thin ice. I'd be very careful.
You get the fuck out.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I know what needs to be done. We need to say hello to a man in the dark. Robby, are you ready?
It's a loaded question.
Well, you have no choice. It's time. Beast?
Yeah, I'm laying on the bed. I'm on my belly.
Why are you on your belly?
Yeah, just feel like it. I just feel like it.
We can't see you.
Well, on 1 second. Give me a sec.
I can't even see either of you, so it's all good.
I got an idea for the summer. We do a 64-man wings challenge.
A what?
A wings challenge. 64
Wings.
best Asmaniacs that can go to the wing challenge and do the distance of 10 of the best wings in the world.
Beast, I thought you were dieting.
Hot sauces, and let's see who has the balls to do it.
Beast is trying to rig a championship for himself here.
Beast, I thought you were dieting.
Well, that fire that you lit today, boy, you were on fire today. I saw your temper, and you had 3 fireballs that you were spitting out going. You were on fire with that Knicks show today, and you were on real fire. You were just like, and I'd never seen a man like you been on fire. But this fire that I'm going to do today, 64-man wings challenge. Anybody who could put 10 different hot sauces out and have the guts enough to go the distance, let's see what you got. Put your money where your mouth is, because you know what? We're going to see who has the guts. As the $1 Million Man once said, you can take it to the bank. Take it to the bank. Read them and weep.
Now, Beast, earlier today you were talking about some of the heart issues you were having. You seem to be just fine now.
Well, Mr. Brigger told me I think it's best that I start going to my doctor and having to have it checked. And I'm gonna do that. That's the first thing I'm gonna be doing.
What were the heart issues? What was happening?
Having problems. Right here. Right this area right here.
What, fluttering? Like what's going on?
Right here. You see where my hand is at?
No, I can't see you or Jake for some reason. You got to describe
right
it.
Here.
Oh no, I don't know if you want him to describe that.
Okay.
Right by the heart. It wasn't feeling so well. Now that's why I'm gonna go to the doctor soon and have that checked.
Beast,
a friend of mine.
move your mic that's not even plugged in out of the way, and we'll be able to.
It's in the. Let me get it out of the way.
It's not even plugged in.
I'm also playing Price is Right bingo at the same time, trying to get some points and some wins. Trying to make some points here. But I am gonna say this: we're gonna be fine. Don't worry about our necks. I know we've been down before in the dumps, but we'll get back up. We'll get back up again somewhere someday. We will be champions again. And I'm not gonna,
someday. They could have been champions next year. They have a team that'd be one of the favorites.
I know that.
So why did they fire the coach, Beast? Why did they do this to me?
Because what it comes down to, it's all the bullshit in the back, and then half the players that are so beat up and so badly beat up. It's like, what the hell we did? Well, I'll tell you what we did. When we went the distance with Boston, we took them 6 games and we kicked the crap out of them. And then game 1, what the hell were we thinking? Let that guy shoot the 3 within the last 9 seconds, and then going, you son of a bitch! What the hell were you thinking?
What was Cat and OG thinking? Just make a free throw, they win.
I would have just yelled out, why don't you guys put your hands up and just said, stop the guy? No, you just let the guy shoot the 3 and the ball go doink.
Hey, Beast, can you give us an idea on what proper free throw form is? A lot of people were saying that Towns missed the free throw. Nice staying there because he didn't have good form. But I know you're one that has great free throw form. Can you show us?
I heard it's Bill Cartwright-esque.
Oh yeah.
That's
Can someone
easy.
Someone describe it for me? I can't see it.
8-year-old could have hit that.
Picture John Stockton shooting a free throw, Robbie. That's what was on the screen.
Okay.
I don't like John Stockton. I don't like him.
Okay. How about Steph Curry?
Steph Curry, he's okay. But my guys are, let me give you my guys. Charles Oakley, John Starks,
Yeah.
Patrick
Starks.
Ewing, Latrell Sprewell, Larry Johnson, Anthony Mason, Antonio McDyess. Does anybody remember that name? Antonio McDyess?
Can you give us an Anthony Mason free throw? Thunderlips would like one.
Mason had
Oh,
a.
he's left-handed. Well,
Not only that, but he stood not in the center. Like Mason stood off to the side a little bit. It was crazy. And back.
and Rebecca said something about me being a coach of the New York Knicks. I don't know about that. Ooh, that's 1,000 to 1 on that one. I'm not ready for I'm not ready to go 82 games and have a heart attack near the 50th game. Not a chance.
Rebecca also said, "Look at that belly."
Yeah, and
So?
Bill M.
Does it-
Bill
does
M.
it look-
also
so
said.
what? So
Bill M.
what?
also says, "I can hear the
What is
indigestion."
your point? So what? What's your point? You know, it's called get to the question and answer the facts. And I'm
Rebecca
going to
says,
be doing
"Give me some of that jelly belly." That's her question.
Sweetie pie. No, I'm not here. I'm not. This is not Sally Jesse Raphael, and this is not Jerry Springer or the Phil Donahue show. You want to do that? Do it somewhere else.
included
Okay,
Phil.
please do.
Now, Beast, let
Please
me
do.
ask you about the stain on your shirt. What did you have for lunch today?
Pizzas. Just had a pizza. Took a nap. Took some pills. And
That's a pizza
right now
stain.
I'm gonna. That was hot sauce.
Oh, it was hot sauce. Even
Beast,
better.
is this not the Jenny Jones show either?
Yeah, definitely not.
Ricky
I
Lake?
don't watch. Number one, I don't watch crap on TV. Number one, TV is trash these days. Look at ESPN. It used to be the hottest hit show in the '90s. Then after some few years, it's been going. They're like a diving Titanic. It just took a plunge. And I'm hearing the Jets are getting crapped on by ESPN. You know what I say to that? In the words of Jake.
Oh, you couldn't see any of that, correct?
No, I still can't even see you. Yeah, I got excellent hearing.
Man, StreamYard's giving me some issues here because I can't even
It
swap.
could be on, it could be on my end. I don't even know. Who knows?
Here, I have to manually go like this just to swap the appropriate boxes that host and guest are supposed to be in. Everyone, give me. You know what? I'll play this clip, and when we come back, it should be normal.
We are mama way.
And we're normal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we say goodbye to Robbie, let's pull up a $100 super chat from who else?
Hey,
JYB.
There you go. Don't move. Oh, shit. You're not kidding.
JYB, you are the man. Thank you. That is 20 raffle entries for JYB. He says, without breaking media rules, what's going to be a strength for this Jets team no one's talking about? And what's one weakness we as fans need to start worrying about? Great question. Robbie, your answer.
Be a strength for okay. The weapons, even though they have no receiver two, overall, I think the weapons are going to be a strength. Garrett, Brees, Mason Taylor.
So you believe in this tight end room if you're saying that?
I believe in the coaching. And I think Rucker will have a solid year in terms of a more balanced tight end. And Mason Taylor is going to grab some balls this year. He's going to grab quite a few balls. And the weakness, maybe that we're not thinking of, maybe some people are. I think the pass rushing is going to be spotty. McDonald will do his thing one-on-one. I expect him to have double digits. Jermaine coming off the Achilles is going to be tough. He's going to need some time. And behind him, there isn't much. So I think they're going to really rely on the blitz a la Rex. So that's the weakness that we're not anticipating. And the strength was the weapons.
Robbie, I know you couldn't see most of this show. So please let me know your thoughts when you go back and watch what occurred during that Beast Breaker call.
You got it. First, I got to watch the rest of the Knicks rant you had because getting giddy. You know, your sound effects sounded wonderful there.
The last call is a highlight. I
I finished on the big fella. I ended on the big fella.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you hopping on. Great coverage today. JetsXFactor.com for all the content from Robbie, from Connor Long, from Andrew, not Andrew Fialco. Actually, you know what? Fialco's joining us tomorrow. I don't want to spoil anything. So
Nice.
We'll have Fialco on the show tomorrow. Who am I missing? Joe Blewett, Michael Nadia.
Blewett,
Nadia,
yeah.
by the way, he hates Thibodeau, so he's having the best day ever. He wanted Tibbs gone.
Good luck. Good luck, Knicks. That's all I could say.
Yep. Thanks for hopping on, Rob. Appreciate you.
All right. Later.
Mr. Sabo with us there. All right. Last chance to get in here. I already did a show this morning on the Jets and then an hour on the Knicks. So I don't need to do 2 full hours right here. But anyone who wants in on the conversation, now's the time. Phone lines are open. Let's say hello right now to a man who made it to the ASMANIAC Final Four.
Joe Douglas should have been fired 2 days before he was hired.
You're on mute, Gary.
All right. Oh shoot, it's 5 o'clock. All right. On the Thibodeau thing. I'm losing my brain.
It's a great call so far.
Yeah, I'm off to a great start. Right, I'm on fire. I was. You got me unexpected.
What do you mean? You were on hold? Like,
hang on. All right. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Morgan. I'll see you tomorrow at 3. Thank you.
Hold on. Bring her down. Bullpen.
It's 5 o'clock. That's why I said, "Oh, it's 5." She's leaving. She's leaving.
You could have told me that we were on time constraints with Morgan. I would have threw Robbie off a while ago.
I got on literally at 5 o'clock. That's why I was distracted. I had to leave her out. I had to load her out, and then I also was on the call. It was things colliding. It was forces colliding at once. The Thibodeau thing. You got to make. I thought it was. My assumption was it was going to be Mike Malone, a guy who's won a championship before, a guy that turned a franchise around and won a championship. They're telling me now it's going to be Johnny Bryant. It's not going to be Danny Hurley. Danny Hurley turned down LeBron James to stay at UConn. He's not leaving UConn. It's not Danny Hurley. I'm hearing Johnny Bryant, which to me, if it was Mike Malone, I get it, right? Because you ask yourself this question. We got a short window. Who gives me a better chance to win? Mike Malone to win a championship. Not anything short of that. Who gives me a better chance to win a championship? Mike Malone or Tibbs? If the answer is Malone, you have to act immediately. I'm not saying who I think is the right answer, but I'm saying that's the line of thought. How can you think that Johnny Bryant gives you a better chance to win right now than Tibbs? And I'm not saying it's Johnny Bryant, but that's what I keep hearing over and over again. He's never done this before.
I don't think they're going to hire Malone. Malone's too similar to Thibodeau.
Right. So then it's going to be Johnny Bryant? Or is there some other name I'm missing?
No, I think they're going to hire Johnny Bryant. That's exactly who I think they're going to hire.
All right. When they said they fired him, my brain instantly went to Mike Malone. We were talking about that. Like it was an assumption. Like, okay, it's going to be Mike Malone. Now now I'm totally lost. Like if you kind of view Thibodeau as a guy like Rex Ryan, he can only get you so far. Like it's a high floor, but there's a ceiling. Then like, okay, this is as far as he can get us. And now I need to bring someone else in to get us over the top. But why would you think that's Johnny? Why would they think that's a guy who's never done this before? Maybe Johnny Bryant's great. He was a finalist for the Phoenix job, right? People think he knows what he's doing, but Phoenix, I would imagine, is going to try to tear the whole thing down and start over again, right? Just like the Nets hired a coach with no experience, no head coaching experience.
That's when you do it.
The same thing.
And then that's when you like Atkinson when he was with the Nets their first time they were rebuilding, and like you don't hire a novice when your goal is to win the championship next year. You fire Tom Thibodeau because you're trying to win the title. So now bringing in someone, if it ends up being someone who's never been a head coach before, that to me makes no sense. And by the way, even if they hire Jay Wright, he's never coached in the NBA. We don't know if it's going to work. Or if they hire Dan Hurley, like, have you watched how he handles himself on the sideline? You think he's going to be able to control himself?
20 years from now, we'll be having this conversation about some team that wants to hire Dan Hurley, who's still going to be the coach at UConn. My prediction is he's going to be the coach at UConn for 20 years. Like, UConn's coach is Danny Hurley for the foreseeable future. Like, that's just I don't know why he'd leave. Yeah. I'm kind of if they would have said, I know you like Thibodeau, and Thibodeau changed your franchise. He took you from a laughingstock to the Eastern Conference Finals, and you were good every year with them. So I understand why you like Thibodeau. Same reason why Jet fans like Rex Ryan. I get it.
Yeah, but to be fair, and I love Rex, but to be fair, Tom Thibodeau did more with a lot less. Rex took over a very talented roster. Tom Thibodeau took over a team that won. How many games did they win the year before he took over? They won under 30 games. They made the playoffs, and then they made the playoffs 4 of his 5 years. They won a playoff round each of the last 3 years. They were in the conference finals this year. Like Rex had the 2-year run. You can't even compare it. Thibodeau was way more successful than Rex.
No, he was. But like, is it one of those things where he can only? Do they view it as he's got us as far as he can take us, and now we need to try to?
I think they do, but I think that's a mistake. I think the Pacers didn't fire Rick Carlisle after they got swept in the conference finals last year, being like, oh well, I guess we need to change our coach. They ran back the same team and they all got better. I believe in continuity. I think if this happens next year, then okay, fine. But you realize they made the cat trade the day before training camp. Like they had 1 year. They played together 1 year. They didn't have Mitchell Robinson until the end of February. Like he was not healthy this year. He was still getting his conditioning back. He just became like an effective player just in time for the playoffs, as we all saw. Like I just think it's so premature. The East is not going to be that good next year. You didn't need to do this. You didn't need to do this. The Celtics without Tatum are going to take a year off from being a contender. The Indiana Pacers are really, really good, but you can't tell me that it's crazy to think the Knicks could go toe-to-toe and beat them next year. They're very evenly matched teams. You look at the other teams in the East, tell me who's better than the Knicks. I just think there's so much risk involved in doing this now.
Well, you got teams like Orlando and Detroit on the come up, right? Like the Knicks are better than them now, but how much longer are the Knicks going to be better than them?
The Knicks won
right?
21 games the year before Tibbs got there. They went 41-31 his first year.
That was the year they tanked for Zion and got RJ, right? That was that.
Yeah, they fired David Fizdale, who was 4-18, and Mike Miller took over and went 17-27 the rest of the way. That was RJ's rookie year.
Yeah. Okay. That was RJ's rookie year. Okay. So like the Eastern Conference, right? It just Kenny Smith made a comment when they went back to back with Houston. If we had to play Seattle, we wouldn't have won any championships. But we got lucky. 1 year Seattle got bounced out in the first round. We didn't have to face them. And another year, someone else picked them off. Like we didn't have to see Seattle. To me, Indiana, their roster is just constructed in a way that it's kryptonite to the Knicks. Everyone's kryptonite to the Nets. So they're kryptonite to the Knicks. Like they could run up and down the court in the postseason. They refs swallowed the whistle more than I would have liked, so they can beat you up on defense. They can foul the hell out of you on defense, and then just run the ball, and then just push the ball. And the Knicks don't have the personnel. Brunson's not fast. Cat's the slowest guy in the league. They don't have a defense. They just can't keep up with you. And over a 7-game series, they're going to get you. And that's kind of the way I saw it. So it's not like I think the Pacers are better than the Knicks. It's just stylistically, the Pacers, like we say in boxing, styles make fights. Stylistically, the Pacers are all wrong for the Knicks. And
they played better, and also the Knicks gave them a game like that. That's you like if they won game 1 and they split in New York and then split in Indiana, and the Knicks won game 5 and Indiana won game 6, which is exactly how the rest of the series went. Who knows what would have happened last night? I know the Knicks would have been a favorites at home in a game 7. It doesn't mean they would have won, but
they would have been favored. But again, like. Tibbs already started cutting their minutes. Like Brunson played like 32 minutes or 34 minutes in game 6. Like he had to start cutting their minutes because they were overextended. And I kind of knew that what was going to happen. So the deeper the series goes, the more and more it favors Indy, even though game 7's at the Garden. Like
my point is I didn't think the way they lost to Indiana justified firing the coach who had 1 year with this current group. That's the point.
Right. Do you think Cleveland got beat worse by Indy than the Knicks? Do you think Cleveland's going to fire Atkinson?
No.
They run it back. Yeah. The only thing I would say is the Knicks are in a position where they don't have a lot of flexibility with their roster, right? Like they may be able to get some mid-level exceptions, things like that, but this is more or less the roster they're going to have moving forward. If they think there's someone else that can, because you're not going to be able to change the roster much. You only have one tradable draft pick and you don't really have any cap space. So this is what you're going with. Do they think Bryant, who knows these guys too, can make better adjustments defensively? Because that was basically the difference in the series.
Or maximize them offensively, right? You know, get Brunson and Towns to be a better fit on the court together. Because after January, they didn't run a pick and pop ever, seemingly. Just didn't work. I don't know.
It's tough defensively with Cat and with Robinson. You're going to have to play a lot of drop coverage. You're playing a lot of drop coverage, and they're hitting their threes. You lose, right?
Yeah.
If they go scorched earth, you're in drop coverage, you lose. Like, I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. They got to try to figure out defensively how to get Brunson. I don't have an answer. Maybe ask Nate. He probably have better answer. How to get Brunson and Cat on the floor together in a way that you're not always having to play drop.
They're not a perfect team, but you would hope that some improvements to the roster, another year playing together, they would have been able to take that next step. And now maybe they still can. I hope this is, Mark Jackson before Steve Kerr. I hope this is, Buck Showalter to Joe Torre. There's countless examples. I have doubts. I don't see it with the options that are being floated out there as candidates.
No, for Malone, I probably still wouldn't have done it, but that's a conversation. If you're hiring a rookie head coach, the Nets did this twice. In years they were trying to win, they hired a rookie head coach in Jason Kidd and a rookie head coach in Steve Nash. They didn't get past the second round of the playoffs.
Who's the Nick Nurse to Dwayne Casey, right? Toronto won their title. But, no one wants to say this, but Toronto would not have beaten Golden State if KD and Klay Thompson both didn't get hurt in the finals.
They also added the best player in basketball at that time, Kawhi Leonard, to that roster, right?
He was actually healthy then, yeah. Kawhi actually played then, yeah.
At that time, that run, he played like a top 5 player ever. He was incredible in that playoff run. Like, he was the best player in basketball in that playoff run. I'm just disgusted, man. And your last caller on your Knicks show, I don't know. I still don't understand what his position was.
That's why I was like, what are you talking? I might need to just pull Gator if you have any time, or I'll do it after the show. I'll have it ready for tomorrow. I had no idea what his point was. That's why I was like, what are you talking about? He called in to try and argue with me, but my stance is very clear. I didn't think Tom Thibodeau deserved to be fired. I would have given him another year. And he called in and he ends up agreeing with me and then got mad that I was calling him out for his BS nonsense.
But did he want Thibodeau fired or not? Because it seemed like he argued both sides of that coin throughout the conversation. It was like he was the angel and the devil on his own shoulder arguing with himself. It was a really strange call. I don't know what his position was. I don't know.
Son of a bitch. Yeah. Like at that point, I was trying to give a straight face and I was just like, I got nothing. I'm just going to laugh at this. I was like, he's like, what's he calling me a son of a bitch? I was like, I was so heated at him, and I just had to laugh.
Once the call started going, I'm like, oh, this is going to be epic. I text Nate, I'm like, you got to watch this. This call is going to be epic. And like, it did not fail. I don't know what his point was. I don't even know what side of the coin he was on. He seemed to be on both sides of the coin.
The best was he's like, I wanted him fired, but I didn't want it done that way. I go, how did you want it done? Like he wasn't allowed to get on the plane. They should have told him to walk back to New York. Like I don't understand what do you mean you didn't want it done that way? Then he ends up going like, but I wanted him. I would have given him a couple more years. I go, we agree. I would have given him next year. I'm not even saying he gets 2 more years. I'm saying give him 1 more year with this group, with the understanding of you got to get to the NBA Finals, otherwise there could be changes.
Yeah. No, I agree. The first year together, Bron, Wade, and Bosh didn't win a championship their first year.
I wish that is actually a great take, and I wish I had thought of that. You're right. They didn't fire Spoelstra. Now he's considered one of the best coaches in sports.
Right. So
that's a great take. You're right. They didn't fire. They had the second greatest basketball player, arguably, of all time. Prime Dwayne Wade, prime Chris Bosh, and they lost to an aging Jason Kidd, Tyson Chandler, Jason Terry, and yes, Dirk is obviously great, but like he was the only superstar on that team. They lost to that team, and not even 7. They lost in 6, I believe, right? Or was it 5? It was really bad.
6. It was 6.
They lost in
6. 1 and lost 3 in a row. Yeah.
Yeah. No, save the tape. This is the best take Gary has ever had. You're right. Miami didn't win the championship year 1. They didn't fire Spoelstra. You know what they did? They ran it back, and then they won the next 2 titles.
All right, Jake. I'm going to leave on that note. Be good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. All right, one last call here, and then we're done. My head hurts. PBM closes out.
I was just gonna laugh about Mets 2-1-2-8. That's my favorite call ever. Dad, you let me finish, you son of a bitch.
I can't wait to rewatch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I watched it 100 times. It's so funny. I was late to the show because I was rewatching it. He gets. Let me finish, you son of a bitch. I needed to let. You should have showed him the titties, though. You had to show him Gorman and Bobby's titties. That would have been the best.
We ran out of time. He got off the rails.
Next time he's on, just throw it on.
I hope,
Let him talk.
I hope he becomes a regular. I enjoy his calls.
He needs to call in and like you let him talk for like 2 minutes and then just surprise him with that and just see what happens.
He was still shell shocked from the last time he saw Beast
I know.
man boobs.
Yeah, but when he gets a double dose of Bobby and Gorman, oh man, that would be so. Is there a way you can play it and then have on the other screen, like split screen, like his face?
I would have to upload there's a way to do it. I would need to know, like, I would have to plan for it. Like, I would need to see he's on hold and get the video ready.
Because I mean, that the audience deserves to see his face as it's happening.
If he calls in again, I will prepare for such circumstances.
Hell yeah. We needed a laugh after getting the bad news.
Amen.
Yep. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Jets. And hope they get it right.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's calmed down. Purple belt. Mike was heated on the Knicks live stream I did. Nate with a super chat. Jake, if you're the new coach of the Knicks, do you ice Halliburton's middle screens? Nate, why don't you coach the Knicks? You're full of ideas. Nate, parentheses Nate, the head coach. Your New York Knicks. I'm fascinated by what happens with Rick Brunson now, right? Obviously, he's going to stay on the staff. If he wants to. But him and Tibbs were really close. So how does that dynamic work? I don't know. One last call. Let's check in for the first time today with one of the greats.
Rejected. Sorry. Oh, God, my head. Somebody put a freaking TNT in the back of my head today. Damn. Jake, do you have the same thing too? Do you have the same headache like I do?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to need about, 4 ibuprofen, at least an 800 shot, and another thing of water. And then I'm going to take another snoozy nap. And then after that, whatever I can find, I might as well just watch Grumpy Old Men. Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon, and Anne Margaret in it. 3 of my favorites. But I'm not going to worry about this season. I'm just going to take it in stride. But next year, I'm hoping to, either this year or next year, I'm hoping to go to one of these Jet games, as a possibility.
Hey, Beast, Rebecca wants to rub your head.
Sweet. Ma'am, did I tell you this is not a talk show? If you want to watch talk shows, there's Sally Jesse Raphael, there's Jenny Jones. There's also other shows that you could be checking out as well, including Days of Our Lives and The Young and the Restless on CBS. Thank you very much.
Would you say this is a talk show, though? Like, the nature of what we do is...
This is sports. What I'm referring to is other shows as well on CBS after Price is Right. See, I used to watch CBS. CBS just not there anymore. It's gone. It is gone. CBS Sports, I will always like. I've been watching the Jets since '98, and I can remember so many games on CBS that the Jets had. There were remarkable games that you can definitely remember. Keyshawn Johnson, even Vintage Finney going into the end zone when he took that dive against Seattle. Remember that? Remember the match? Remember the game against Seattle in '98 when he went in the end zone with the football, just went, ugh! And the referee was like, his head's not in the end zone. And the second was like, yes, he is. His head's in the end zone. That line says it. It's a touchdown. It's automatically a touchdown.
Can you give us a reenactment?
Okay, here's the goal line right here. This is the goal line. Your defense is right here. The 98 Jets are right here. Here's Vinny. He jumps in. He goes, and then the referee says it. The first ref says it's not a touchdown. Second referee comes out. He lands his head and says it's touchdown. It's an automatic touchdown because why? They did a review in the screen box in one of those computer things, and it states there it's a touchdown. It was stated.
A tremendous demonstration. Reminder, this show's available in podcast form, Apple or Spotify. Check it out. big fella with a super chat. Beast, come to the Carolina game with us. Beast, we will cover your game ticket if you want to make the trek to MetLife for Jets Panthers. But you have to sit on big fella's lap for the entire game. I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry I'm cranky. Just the Knicks finally have the best year I've ever seen them have, and we fire the head coach who was part of it. Great. Again, thank you all. We're back tomorrow. 2 shows, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. I'm sure there'll be more Knicks stuff to discuss, so we'll get into it then. Again, thanks to Robby Sabo who joined us for his OTA recaps. Good stuff from him. I'll talk to you guys soon. Enjoy your night, everyone. Go Jets and go Knicks.
Having some barbecue chips. Nope, on your lips.
What's up, Charles? Oh yeah, take us around. Let me see.
This is my table. This is my This is my my bed stuff, but I had to get a new mattress. This is the couch I've been sleeping on. This is my television, my cable, my Xbox, my one. That was toilet paper. I saw that.
I don't know what you're talking about. A little bit of corn, but hey, congratulations on the house. I'm gonna wash my hands and I'll call back. I'll be back.
All right, no problem.